Today we're going to talk about powers. We've already talked a little bit about exponents or powers, and the exponent of a number says how many times to use the number in a multiplication problem. In the following example, the exponent is 3. Let me highlight this for you. That is the exponent. And in math, this 2 has a special name. The large number down below the exponent is called the base. That is the number that is being multiplied. So we have exponent and base. So 2 to the power of 3 means that this number, the base, is being multiplied by itself 3 times. 2 times 2 times 2. And the answer would be 8. Let's look at just a few more examples. In the problem 3 to the power of 2, the 2 says to use the 3 twice in a multiplication problem. That's what the exponent means. It means use the base twice. Here's the base, and it's being multiplied by itself 2 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Notice that you're not doing 3 times 2 is 6. That's not what the exponent means. The exponent means how many times do you show that 3 is being multiplied. And there are several ways to say this problem. You can say 3 to the second power. You can say 3 to the power of 2. Or you can even say 3 squared. Let's look at this problem. 8 to the power of 3. The exponent of 3 says to use the 8 3 times in a multiplication problem. It would look like this. Here's your base, which is 8, and you have it shown 3 times. 8 times 8 times 8. And you could use your calculator and get 512. And there are several ways that you can say this one. You can say 8 to the third power, 8 to the power of 3, and the exponent of 3 is a little bit special. It can also be called 8 cubed. Now you can multiply any number by itself as many times as you want using exponents. For instance, you could have had 8 to the power of 14. Let's practice some of these. Write the number using the exponent and then solve. So for instance, the 2 is the base. It's being multiplied by itself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. Times 2 is 16. Times 2 is 32. So these do get a little bit lengthy. Now let's figure out what the base is here. The base is the number that you see. And how many times is it being multiplied by itself? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 to the 4th power. And we have to figure that out. I know that 4 times 4 is 16. And 16 times 4, I believe, is 64. Let's do 64 times 4 over here. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry the 1. 6 times 4 is 24. Add the 1 is 25. There. So 4 to the 4th power is 256. Let's look at the next problem here. 5 times 5 times 5. The base is 5, and it's being multiplied by itself 3 times. So 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5, I happen to know, is 125. Next page. Sometimes these can get long and complicated. Here's an example of one that I'm not sure I want to do by hand, but it can be computed. 4 is the base. And how many times is it being multiplied by itself? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 4 to the power of 16. Honestly, it's not something I think I want to work out by hand. However, pre-calculator days, we would have done that, right? So I'm not sure what the answer is. Let's hope that there's a shortcut. And there is. Hint, you can use your calculator to solve the long problems quickly. So get out your calculator. Hopefully it looks like mine. There we go. There's a special button that we're going to talk about today. It is called the caret button right here. And it's not carrot spelled the same way as a vegetable. It's spelled differently in math, and it means look for this symbol, sort of shaped like a tent. It's called a caret. we're going to use that every time we need to figure out power of. So whenever you would say power of or to the power of, remember this little button here. So we're going to figure out 5 to the 6th power, or 5 to the power of 6. Here's how we're going to do that using the calculator. First you'll put in the base, which is 5. To the power of, remember I said, pick that little button that's called the caret button. 5 to the power of what? 6. And then you're going to hit enter. Let's try that together. All right, 5, here it is, to the power of, and see it got a tiny little box up there? The exponent is a 6, and it made a tiny exponent. Enter. So 15,625. Good. So now we should be able to figure out the complicated one up above. 4 to the power of 16. You're going to use the same instructions that we had up here. It's going to be 4, caret button, and then you'll push 1 6 for 16, and then enter. Let's give it a try. 4 is the base. To get the exponent, we do to the power of 16, and make sure you double check yourself so that the exponent is small. There it is. Enter. Wow, that's long, but we can do it. 4, 2, 9, 4, 9, 6, 7, 2, 9, 6. Okay, and then every 3 in English we do a comma like that. So it's a little bit more than 4 billion. Okay, not something I wanted to do by hand, but it didn't take too long with the calculator. So let's practice the skills that we have now. This says try these on your own, use the calculator for at least half of them. This would be a good time for you to pause the video and work these out, and then restart the video to check your answers. 2 to the power of 2. That just means that 2 is being multiplied by itself 2 times, and the answer would be 4. 7 to the power of 3. We might be able to do that by hand, but let's use our calculator skills. 7. Caret button. Good, the 3 is tiny, like an exponent should be. Enter. 343. That was pretty easy. So 3 to the power of 8, same thing. 3, caret button, 8, and it's small like it should be. Enter. 6561. 6,561. Now the next one is a little bit more complicated. When you see parentheses, and you know that you have to figure that out with an exponent, everything in the parentheses must stay with the base. So this negative sign must stay. It'll look like this. -9 is being multiplied by itself 2 times. When you're multiplying, 2 negatives make a positive. 9 times 9 is 81. So then your answer is 81. All right, the next one says that 8 is being multiplied by itself only 1 time. And there you have it. 1, 8. Any number to the power of 1 will just be that number. If it was 9 to the power of 1, the answer would be 9. So 4 to the power of 7, that's pretty straightforward. Let's just use the calculator for that. $16,384. And then we have a fraction. Fractions are the same. You just have to show it twice. 1/3 is being multiplied by itself 2 times. If you think back to fractions in Math 4, multiply the top numbers. 1 times 1 is 1. Then you multiply the bottom numbers. 3 times 3 is 9. And the last one, this one you have to memorize. Anything to the power of 0 is just going to be 1. If this was 7 to the power of 0, the answer would still be 1. Good job.